Apology for breaking up now. So I will just continue. So what is the theme for this World Breastfeeding Week 2022? So the theme is set up for breastfeeding, educate and support. So that is the theme for this year's World Breastfeeding Week 2022. So now, breastfeeding is key to sustainable development strategies. So it means that is one of the important things that we always discuss in the MDGs. To achieve MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, breastfeeding is it plays an essential role in it, and that's why it's actually considered as a sustainable development strategies post pandemic. So what does how do we arrive at that? That it means is it helps to improve nutrition, ensures food security, and reduces inequalities between and within countries. I want to quickly go over about the recommendations of World Health Organizations and Unicef on breastfeeding. So, what were the recommendations of Unicef and World Health Organizations on breastfeeding? So, let me just tell you what's the recommendations that were made by World Health Organizations and then UNICEF. So there are actually five recommendations that were made by World Health Organization. Three. Recommendations that were made by World Health Organization and UNICEF. Now, the first one is early initiation of breastfeeding within 1 hour of birth. It is very, very important, and that is why, as healthcare professionals, we always advise parents, especially mothers with new babies, to ensure that within 1 hour of giving birth, they are supposed to give a breastfeeding. Why? There is this particular product element that are found in breast milk that is very, very essential, very, very important for the first 24 hours of the birth of a child, and the child needs this particular thing, and it is found in breast milk, and that is why it is very important for us to for mothers to do that. But on the other hand, I know you are going to ask me a question: what about people that do not like to breastfeed the kid, or one reason or the other that maybe the mother died or whatever, for whatever reasons? Fine, there are substitutes to get this particular thing that are actually important for them, but it is very important if it is possible for the mother to breastfeed. Then the second one is exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life. So for the first 6 months of life of this particular baby, we always advise mother to initiate what we call exclusive breastfeeding. Is very, very important, and it is very, very important. Why? This particular 4-6 months life of the child is very essential for his or her development, and breast milk will contribute to the growth and development of the baby. Talking about cerebral development, talking about digestive development, talking about neural development, talking about cardiovascular development, talking about endocrine development, talking about every development within the organ and the systems of the child. The baby need this exclusive breastfeeding. And why? Because the breast milk contain all essential nutrients at appropriate quantities and qualities for the baby to grow up and to survive. It's very basic about that. So when the baby is having this the breast milk, everything is proportionate. Nothing is higher than the other, unlike in a situation whereby we are giving a formula. I'm not saying formula is not good. Formula is good and is a substitute as well. But if we have the capacity and the ability to give breast milk, it is the best option. It is better than the substitute. Talking about the food and whatever. But for the first 6 months, if the mother have the because sometimes when the healthcare practitioners advise that let's do this, let's do that, it is, on the other hand, we have to look at the receiver. Now I'm talking about the mothers. Is it possible, is it visible for the mother to do that? Is it, is it achievable for the mothers to do that, considering every other factor surrounding her? If it is possible, then we should encourage her to do it. But if the circumstances surrounding her, talking about her health status, talking about her environment, talking about her income, talking about her mental stability, talking about everything about her in general, and the baby as well, and the home as well, if it is not possible, then there is no enforcement in this situation. So, but we advise to do that if it is possible. Then the third one is that we continue to now do breastfeeding up to 2 years, even beyond if it is possible. And within this particular time, we start introducing complementary foods to the child, most especially our own food that we eat, our own local food that we eat, our cultural food that we eat, our environmental food that we eat. To start, introducing, that's what we call, you use the word introducing of nutritionally adequate and safe complementary. So it might be like the food complements and all that. Then as the child is going on, there are some other little food that from our own perspective too, from our own side, culturally or environmentally, we start introducing to the child. So these are the recommendations of World Health Organization and then Unicef on breastfeeding. Now, I want to quickly talk about advantages of breastfeeding to the mother and then to the child. So I want to quickly talk about 5 essential benefits. I'm not going into details because all of us, I want to believe that many of us, we already know 1 or 2 things about the importance of breastfeeding. But I think I'm still coming up with another particular interesting topic. Why do women do not want to breastfeed? And it is very, I think it is it is an interesting topic. So considering the fact that everybody has the right to his body, everybody, as in your body belongs to you, you own your body. So in that situation, so you might decide on whatever. So nobody should blame anybody for whatever 1 or 2, he or she is doing for, with his or her own body. Now, what are the benefits of breastfeeding? Now, I'm going to mention just 5 benefits that is beneficial to the mother and to the baby. Just 5. Now, the first one I want to mention is that, especially for the baby, it is the best source of nutrition for baby. The best source of nutrition for baby, for proper growth and development of the baby, for proper alimentation of the baby, for proper digestion without having constipation of the baby. The best food you can give to a baby is breast milk. Just like we adults too, we always say that what is the best food that you like, what is the best food for you, what is at a particular age, we always say that this particular food is not good for this group of age. This particular food is good for this group of age. This particular food is not recommended for this, but this particular food is highly recommended for this group of age. So the same thing is applicable here for babies. The best food, the best nutrition, the best food that they can have is breast milk. Now, secondly, even for the baby and for the mothers, breastfeeding can help. It protects the baby from from short-term illness and from long-term illness as well. So it contains antigen antibodies. It contains all the essential elements for the babies to develop his or her own immunity, whether natural immunity or unnatural immunity, whether passive or active immunity. All these things are found in the breast milk, and that is one of the things that I said there at the earlier on. Breast milk is very, very essential for the first 1 hour of the birth of the baby. For the first 6 months of the life of the baby, breast milk is very, very essential. And the third one here I want to talk about is that the breast milk shares antibody from the mother with the baby as well. So one way or the other, the mother is transferring, is building, is sending our own antibody to our baby, for our baby to also have his or our own personal immunity, and to start growing up. And you can see these are the stages of life, and that is why in early development of the child, there are these particular stages where child will have to move away a little from the, even right from this particular concept. We see that mother is already telling the child, you are going to have your life to live, and I have to pass some essential things to you right from that particular stage. And that is why developmental stage and growth is an interesting aspect of a child's growth. And is, by the time you go, especially talking about the psychological, social and physiological development and growth of the child, is very, very interesting. And this particular aspect too is also coming up and telling us that at this particular time, the child, even when the woman is breastfeeding the child, they have this particular contact with one another. It shows the sign of love and the care the mother is giving, and the child will be giving what we call a pseudo laughing, which is not so the child will be laughing. Let me just use it say it that way. The child will be laughing at the mother, and the mother will be smiling. She's happy, she's breastfeeding her baby. But along the line, as she's breastfeeding, as she's passing some of this essential thing to the baby to grow, indirectly she's telling the baby, my son or my daughter, I'm telling you, as time goes on, I have to let you off. Not really completely, but you need to start growing up. You are an entity, you are an individual, you are no longer dependent as you were before in my stomach. So we are not going to that particular aspect today. So the fourth one is that mothers can breastfeed anytime, anywhere. So you can see, so it's not that the mother will have to say, let me quickly go home and go and prepare the food of my child. I need to quickly get a hot water, I need to quickly get one or two things. It is readily available, readily prepared, readily made. All she just need to do is to breastfeed the child. And the last one is that it also reduces breast cancer for the mothers too. So you can see and some other, even high blood pressure, it can reduce high blood pressure, it can reduce type 2 diabetes mellitus for the mother. It can also reduce the ovarian cancer for the mother. So these are the studies that were established on the fact that breastfeeding is also important for the mothers as well. Now I want to quickly also talk about, there's no way I will talk about advantages of breastfeeding without talking about, because before somebody will start telling me that, but everything that have advantage will definitely have its own disadvantages. Okay, let me just mention few disadvantages of breastfeeding. First of all, I will talk about self image. Literally, some women nowadays do not want to breastfeed because they believe that breastfeeding is going to change their body image. Okay, but scientifically, it's not really been supported. Of course, because even if you don't breastfeed, as you grow up, there will be body image changing. That is definitely. So even just look at women. Let me say women. Let me say ladies above 40s that never for one time in their life had babies, or never in one time in their life got married. They are single all throughout their life. There are image, there are safe, there are a safe body, image. It will definitely change. We don't remain the same thing throughout our life. Is a natural concept. It is a phenomenon that goes along like that. It might not be as quick when you are breastfeeding. When you are breastfeeding, it might be faster, because one of the things is that when the baby is sucking, definitely there will be more production of the milk in the breast, and as long as for that reason there might be increase in the size of the breast. Some women might like it, some women might not like it. So this is one of the changes of the body of women, that some women feel like they don't want their body. But I'm just saying it just for them to know the fact that even if you don't breastfeed, even if you don't have babies, it will definitely change as you grow up. That is very certain. Now, it's very painful. That is one of the disadvantages. Painful in the sense that sometimes, most especially when the child is becoming to have teeth and then he starts sucking, it can be very painful in that aspect. These are some of the advantages. In this case, your partner cannot share breastfeeding. even if you have a very good partner, you have a very good husband, you have a very supporting husband, or a husband that is ready to do everything with you, the breastfeeding is not possible. It's only done by women, so it's not possible to be done by. It's not done by men. So these are some of these disadvantages. So I don't come and be telling me that should men also have breast. Then I don't know anything about that particular concept. And then another thing again is that at the beginning it's very difficult because there are techniques, there are methods of breastfeeding. So a first child, so for the woman without having a previous experience, it can be very challenging at initial stage. But as time goes on, she starts learning and she starts improving, and by attending clinics and maternity, antenatal, postnatal, is going to assist her with some of the teachings that she's going to be getting and information all around. But at initial stage, it can be very difficult. Now, it requires a healthy lifestyle choices, so it changes a lot of things about the mother. It changes a lot of concept about the mother, our habit, our healthy lifestyle. Everything is going to be changed while breastfeeding a child. So if you decide not to breastfeed, or you decide to breastfeed a child, there are always advantages and disadvantages. So before I stop on disadvantages, I want to take another one. You have a less freedom in the sense that the child can ask you at the middle of the night that he or she wants to breastfeed. It's very challenging. So these are the few disadvantages that I have about breastfeeding. Now let me talk about challenges that of breastfeeding. Now, what are some of the challenges of breastfeeding? There are so many challenges, but I'll just take some little one. And when I'm talking about challenges, it might be, we can interpret it as some of the problems that are associated with breastfeeding. Now we have one of them is crack or sore nipples. So it can also result as a result of breastfeeding. Then sometimes the woman might not have enough breast milk. It can be very painful for the mother. At the beginning, usually at the starting part of a breastfeeding. Then another important common one is breast engorgement. Breast engorgement happens when we have when the breast is full of milk and is not adequately being discharged. And it can be very painful. That one too can be very painful as well. Then sometimes even when you put the baby at the breast to suck, sometimes it's very difficult. So even as sometimes it's difficult for the mother, sometimes it's also difficult for the baby as well. So the baby might not be feeding it sucking very well. We can consider that as a poor placement. If you are not using a proper technique of how to hold the child, of how to place the child properly, it can be that is one of the challenges that that always happen. And sometimes we also have some mothers too that also have too much of breast milk. The child will finish sucking, the child is full already, but the breast will still be discharging the breast milk. So these are some of the disadvantages. So we have some women that they don't have enough milk. We have some women that have essential and more than enough. So then sometimes women can have what we call a breast milk duct block that is blocked. So the milk duct can be blocked sometimes. These are some of the challenges. And then there is an infection that can also come in that we known as we call mastitis and breast abscess as well. So in general, we can see that women are really very powerful. They are very endowed, and they are very strong, and that is why there is need for policies to come around the world to support and to facilitate, to ease what we call breastfeeding, most especially for women that are working at workplace. The law in most parts of the world is not being allowed for women because we have to provide a very a safe place. We have to provide a very serene environment for women to breastfeed. So these are the things that needs to change in this 21st century, and allow women, because they are working, and they should not, for women that wish to to breastfeed at the place of work, then we should provide these social amenities for them to be able to do that without endangering themselves or even their babies. So we have to support them to achieve this particular to achieve this. And it is no longer here saying that in this technological world things are highly possible. So I saw a video recently where a woman in in a House of Assembly was breastfeeding her baby. Very interesting. I equally saw another video, a woman that was breastfeeding a baby in the public space. That is left for her. That is her choice. So we should support women that want to breastfeed. Especially at the place of work. So as I said, I'll be coming up with some of my guests that I'm still expecting to finalize our interview. They'll be coming up as soon as we get connected. We fix the date. We'll be coming up to talk about, most especially this particular one is interesting to me. Why do women do not want to breastfeed? And don't worry, my guest that is coming up will come and make it hot. It's going to be hot for me too, because I want to I want us to learn for this particular angle. So thank you very much for watching this my video. If you are not watching, if you are just coming off to the show, sorry, it's just a very short video. You can actually have the link to the YouTube channel, and I actually want you guys to actually subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's also the same name, Adam's Health Media. So I'll be coming up next time soon, and see you guys. Bye for now.